talking about potentially the new laws that may go into effect on no taxes on tips and what Congress and President are trying to do and trying to figure out how this could shape up for the real estate industry.
Okay, so I had a couple questions. I called her this morning. Of course, I got kind of anxious. Y'all know me, okay? I'm on here all the time. I got a little anxious. I called her, and then she called me back. And I said, I need you to do something for me. And at that point, we started talking about tips and taxes. I asked her because she used to be in that.
I was a bartender, so I had tips. I understand how it works with the unions and stuff, and declaring your tips and tip allocations and things like that.
Okay, because of course, you know me, I'm a free bird, okay? I'm an entrepreneur. Anyway, see, this is what I deal with all the time. But okay, so this is the thing. I did a post this morning and I as well put it on my story. And I was talking about if you don't, if they don't tax your tips, what the consequences are. So I'm going to let Nadia explain that to you because if you're going to buy a home, I think you want those tips included. Go ahead, Nadia.
Well, let's say the potential. We don't know what's going to happen yet, right?
The way it's looking. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm, just going back and forth and talking to her about it. So here's the thing: when we qualify people who are in the service industry or what have you, and they have tipped income. So even if you're on tip allocation, you still are paying taxes on your hourly allocation of tips. So let's say, they come up and they say $20 an hour is what we think you average on your tips, but you actually make $40 an hour because you went home with more money. So currently, unless you claim that additional $20 in income, we don't count that as income. We can't because there's no way to document it. So my question would be, if this passes and we are no longer using tips, we're no longer taxing tips, how are they being reported? Because if I have to go in and self-report my tips, my other side, my Al Capone side thinks, well, shoot, I could say I made a $10,000 tip today, right?
Yeah.
Who could say that I didn't, right?
Right.
And that's the same as today. But if I'm trying to buy something luxurious, who's to say I can't inflate my income? Okay. So then it goes to, though, how do you document it if you don't have income that you're putting in? But, you do have your credit card tips, which the employer would have. So that also comes back to how are they going to report this to the system that you received $50 in credit card tips today, but we're not taxing it? Is there going to be is it going to be a pay stub and it's going to be separate, or it's not going to be separate? Like, how does that work?
And that's, I guess, I'm looking at the IRS and whatnot because I know when you're going to apply for a loan, you need to produce a W-2 or.
Correct.
Okay. If you're self-employed and you're not paying your taxes or whatever, then there's a problem there. But the W-2, how do you get around saying after you apply for a home, if you apply for a home, oh, I made this much, but
it's nowhere.
Right.
I don't know, because right now the only type of non-taxable income that we really look at is like spousal support, which is court ordered. You'll have court documentations for that.
Right.
Child support, you'll still have documentation for that. Social Security income, those are non-taxable types of income that we can use, but we also have documentation to follow it up. Whereas in this case, I know when I was bartending, I didn't deposit every cent that I made in a bank account.
Okay.
I may have gone somewhere, I may have put it in a shoebox and saved it. Who knows?
Okay.
But if I'm not taxed on my tips and I'm not stating it anywhere, there's nowhere for us to be able, or no way for us to be able to document it. And the current guidelines, Fannie, Freddie, which is conventional, FHA, VA, you have to have some form of documentation to state what your income actually is. So if we're going by hourly, nobody's going to qualify for nothing because you don't make enough to even qualify for an average price home in Vegas. You have to have that tip income to qualify.
Right.
But then it goes back to, how do we document it? how do we verify that it's actually accurate? Because you could sit here and tell me you made $50,000 in tips, but how do I prove it?
Okay, so this, I just had a bell ring in my head. Okay, so this is the thing.
Oh boy.
Okay, I know. Ooh. If you do that, you're setting yourself up for an audit. Because now you're saying that you made this much, but you didn't report it to the IRS.
But
do you think?
But do you get audited though? You wouldn't get audited though, because then it's non-taxable.
What's non-taxable?
The tips. So if I said I made $50,000 in tips, why would you audit me? Because it's not taxable. You're getting audited because you're using money that you were supposed to pay taxes on that you didn't.
Okay.
In this case, who cares? I'm not getting taxed on it.
Okay.
So how does that work? Again, I see it as a problem.
A big one.
Because I don't know. Because I mean, speaking outside of the mortgage realm, I feel like as an employer, as a business owner, I myself would say, you make more money in tips than you make in your hourly. So
Right.
I don't want to hire you as a W-2 employee. I really want to hire you as a 1099 employee. I want you to pay your own stuff and take care of it since you're non-taxable anyway. I'll give you the subcontractor. I'll pay you your money, but you've got to claim everything for yourself.
See, that's where I come to. Remember that. Outside the box.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
Because that's an easier write-off for me. I don't have to worry about taxes on you and all that stuff. You're responsible for that. And then if that happened, it comes back to the mortgage side. Well, now you get hit with the tax bill because you haven't paid taxes on anything all year.
Exactly. I think that's what I was trying to say when I was talking about the IRS.
Oh.
That's what, see, two heads are always better than one.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that's what I was thinking. This is going to be a big problem for a lot of people because I get a lot of people that come to me, and of course, you know, they're trying to figure out how to get around certain things. You know me.
Well, see, then there's a light bulb over here because I'm thinking, okay, so your wages are what's determining your pension or your Social Security later in life. So if you're taking the majority of your wages, which would be tips, and you're saying they're non-taxable, then how are you paying into Social Security? So you have almost zilch for retirement.
Exactly.
And if you're not smart with your money, you're screwed. You're SOL.
Right. Not only Social Security, what is it? I was listening to something on the radio today.
Unemployment?
That too.
Because if I really make 60,000, 20,000 of it is hourly, 40,000 is tips, I'm getting unemployment on 20.
Exactly. People, wise up, okay?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a lot to think about. And the bad part though is that it's so polarized because now it's been politicized with left versus right. And
right.
I don't know that left really ever agreed with this. But right, with President Trump and coming and making that announcement, everybody jumped on board because you have to, in a sense, because if you don't, you're not going to get voted back in.
Right.
So,
right.
But then you also think about, man, I should be at the round table at the White House in the Oval Office because I'm feeling like, okay, we're trying to make these budget cuts, but how much is this going to cut nationally in the revenue that the country produces? If now you're not receiving income or the government is not receiving income on taxes. So this also will affect other programs that are going out for everyday needs. I know they're trying to cut them already.
Right, right.
But this will also affect the revenue. And I did look that up because they were saying something like $100 billion over 10 years it would cost to not tax tips. We're already in debt.
Exactly.
And trust me, I want to keep more of my money too. And see, that brings me. Here
we go.
That's another light bulb. Because see, I would be jealous, right? Because just like during COVID with the
we
PPP,
talked about that.
We did. Just like during COVID with the PPP loans, people got their bonus checks when they were for COVID and not working or whatever. And I was so irritated because I didn't get a bonus. I didn't get that check because I made too much supposedly.
Right.
And I didn't have any dependents at that time.
Right.
So I didn't get it. And I was like, ain't this some bull? Well, now, if I go out to a restaurant or something, I'm looking like, they ain't even paying tips. They ain't even paying taxes on these tips. I'm going to cut my tips short.
Or I might not tip at all.
That's jacked up. But at the same time, I'm like, how is that fair?
Right.
I got to pay taxes on my income, but you don't have to pay taxes on yours?
Right. Or the employer will roll that money into their
The check.
to the check.
In which case, I'm gonna stay at home.
Okay,
Because I'm
cook.
not paying extra. It's
No.
already expensive to eat out.
Exactly,
McDonald's is
exactly.
like $25 for me and my daughter.
Yeah, I just came from Kentucky Fried Chicken tonight. The pot pies weren't ready. I was pissed. But anyway, that's the only thing I like over there. Anyway,
This is a
it's
big,
going to be,
this is
what do they say, a conundrum.
this is a large scale issue that is got a lot of different little
Twist in
things,
terms.
to it
is.
that leads to a black hole on the other side. Because from a lending standpoint, again, we go back to that. If I'm the bank and I'm lending you this money,
Mm-hmm.
obviously they want to verify that you have the ability to pay it back, because the actual money that is being made by the banks for lending it to you is in the interest.
Right.
They don't want the house back.
Right.
Essentially.
Exactly.
They don't want
right.
a foreclosure.
Right.
So again, for me to dot my I's and cross my T's as a bank, I'm thinking, how am I actually justifying this person's income? Because I can look at the bank statements and average it, and the bank statement loans we have are typically 12 months averaged or 24 months averaged. Usually it's 24 months averaged over that time frame. And by the way, on the bank statement program, they do require a higher FICO than typical.
Right,
Like
exactly.
FHA, you can get away with like what is it? We have 580, 540, 550, 550. Whereas bank statement programs, they start at like 680.
Ooh.
And they're higher down payments typically.
Ouch.
So yeah, that in mind too. But then here's that black hole that opens up the door to money laundering. Because if I'm looking to buy something, I could be offshore, whatever. I'm gonna slip you this money, put it in your account every month or whatever, and I'm gonna eat up property or whatever, property flipping and all of that stuff. It's just so many ways.
Oh God, I tell you
that it could be just off.
This whole thing is driving me to drink. Okay.
Wow.
I'm just saying, you know.
I haven't got that far.
I have, okay? Because I'm always trying to outthink them. It's kind of hard to outthink them. I mean, you can. You just gotta.
I don't know. I know a lot of people really want this to go through because
they're feeling like they're gonna be those tips they're instant, basically. Everybody instant gratification.
It's instant already.
I know.
When I worked in tip industry, I took my cash home every night.
Oh, you do.
The only cocktail waitresses,
but
maids, everybody takes it. Whatever they get cash, they get every night, every day.
Cash.
Okay. Anything that's credit, we still got ours every day.
But what about restaurants and whatnot? I wonder how they pay them.
Well, then it goes back to what about the service members? Because you have your hostess, you have your server. Typically, people don't tip the hostess unless they're getting a premier seat. But you have the server, and then you have the cooks, the linemen, the people at clean.
Everybody wants a piece.
Because typically it goes by that. You go, the server will tip out the hostess, they'll tip out the cook, however much from theirs. Well, they can still do that based on what they make. But at the same time, the cook is not considered a tipped employee, whereas the server is.
Is right, and the hostess.
So the cook is going to be paying taxes on their income fully, but the server is not. So again, how's that fair?
See, this is getting
That's
real.
Not fair.
It's not. Oh, I'm so sorry. Hey, I used to see that face all the time when I would tell her no on something. It's not fair. It's not fair.
What I need is a business plan. I need a business plan on how I can make my mortgage side tipped, so I don't have to pay taxes either.
I know this is gonna be something to see. This is gonna be.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I honestly don't feel like it's gonna play out. I think that it was a great and a smart move during the election to put it out there.
Yeah, to get you elected.
Yeah, but
and we're seeing how that's turning out with all these. I renege. Okay, go on.
But with it going through Congress and having the bills have to be presented and putting them all together, I think there's already 2 bills that are out there or something. I don't know. But I feel like after they're doing the budgeting and seeing how much it will cost, I don't think that it will pan out.
We're gonna see because we're gonna come back on this one. We're gonna see because we always duking it out all the time. I'll say something, and she's like, "But what about this? Or what about that?" And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just shut up.
That'll make a person think.
It does make you think.
Yeah, think
Like
about
I
it.
said, yeah, you have to think. You have to think about everything. But I enjoyed this conversation, and if you want to see more of this, up in there, here, everywhere, of course, subscribe to my channel. Of course, you know what it is, Denied Credit Consulting at Rose Jones - Outside the Box. And as well, I want you to...
Oh, you can reach me directly, 702-303-8845. You can also Google me, Nadia Jones, at novahomeloans.com. Oh, that's my email. She got me tired.
I told her, I called her earlier. I said, you're going to do this
so
today.
tired.
Because I already did something.
I have a 4-year-old. I am exhausted.
She exhausts me. Okay, the 4-year-old. Okay.
Yes.
But you can reach her. Great.
I'll put my contact information in the comment section. How about that?
Okay. And then I'm going to give her the next video on mortgages. Try when they pull a mortgage, you do a tri-merge, right?
Yes.
We're going to talk about that. So I'm going to let you go on this one. Guys, it has been wonderful. You know what to do. Call me, 702-325-3861. And always do what? Think outside the box. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.